right, Alfredo Mancuso. Mancuso, come on.
Good.
What's going on, guys? Sorry for the lack of upload, or I guess you can call it late upload. Last night I was at European Union working on the Porsche. One of the brake sensors wasn't making a proper contact, so it's kind of off. We're gonna fix that a little later. But instead of making it a really late upload, I decided, hey, why not just chill? I'll upload it today. We can hang out with my little fireplace here. It's fake. But if you're here, that means you're gonna be watching the reason why I got an Ellen Degeneres and how it changed my life. So without any further ado, let's watch the video, and then I'll kind of cut it down and give you guys a little bit of the background of everything that happened that day.
Event planning, you say, huh? All right, Alfredo Mancuso. Mancuso, come on.
Good.
Is it Mancuso?
Mancuso.
Mancuso.
Yep.
And where do you live and what do you do?
I'm from Lakewood, California, and I'm
right.
an international business major at Cal State Fullerton.
All right, so you're a student, and what kind of talent is it?
I'm gonna jump over 6 people on
Okay.
a bike.
On a bike?
On a bike.
All right. Are they people in the audience, or?
I think they're brave volunteers. So,
Okay,
whoever,
well,
you know.
let's see it. What do we do? We open up,
I hope things are provided. Oh,
there's things. There's people.
right,
Look at, oh my. These are people I need. Be careful.
All right, so let's...
All right. All of them are needed. Especially this guy right here. He's helping my mother move this weekend, so. Let's take a look.
Alright, so first and foremost, I got hooked up for this gig by my friend Fat Tony. He was working for this magazine that's in SoCal. You know, he and I would go ride a lot, and one day he got offered this job. I think it's because of Terry Adams, the Flatland dude. I think he had either gone on the Ellen show or was about to go again. Something happened where they needed someone to quickly stand in. But the catch was that it had to be someone with a secret talent. So they needed someone in the audience that was a college student and then had a secret talent. So this happened when I did a quick email search, I found out that I got contacted April 2nd of 2010. So that was 7 years ago. So I was roughly 22 years old. And around that time, I was enrolled at Cal State Fullerton. I was studying international business. That was basically my day-to-day. And then on the side, I was a professional BMX rider, which I couldn't say on this show. So if they asked, I had to say that it was just a hobby of mine and that I can do certain tricks just because it was fun. But I couldn't say that I was actually a paid professional because that would have jeopardized the whole thing. Around that time, I was on Volume Pro, Demolition Pro, and I started getting hooked up by DC Flow, so that's DC Shoes. And I remember getting the email from Fat Tony and him inviting me to do this, and I was a little bit in disbelief. I never really watched Ellen's show, and to this day I've probably only seen like a handful of episodes, mainly the one with Kanye West, and the one where Kirsten Bell cries when they bring a sloth. That was pretty funny. So like I'm looking at these emails and they were like telling me like, you know, audition times and, you know, different kind of things, and I was like pretty nervous at first. I really didn't watch the show, so I didn't even fully grasp the concept of like how many millions of people tuned in to the Ellen show. So I was like, oh, whatever, you know, like it's just another thing. I had taken prior auditions and like different castings for TV shows and movies, but it was hard. And to be honest, I didn't even think I was gonna get the part. So I went, showed up to the Burbank studios, and when I got there, they had everything waiting for me. So basically you pull up and then you say your name, they ask for your ID, and they give you this crazy like sticker that you put in your car. I drove up and I was like, oh man, this is all crazy. I thought it was gonna be an audition, but it turns out that I already landed the part. So all I really had to do was just kind of come and perform what they wanted me to do for the show. Earlier on, I wanted to do like a tail whip or a bar spin or something over people, but they kind of like quickly scratched that in case I made a mistake. So they were like, how many people can you bunny hop? And I was like, well, I think I could jump over a couple trash cans, like standing up. And they were like, oh, we want to see that. So they had me go in like the front yard and film myself, like hopping over a chair and hopping over trash cans and stuff. So they were like, oh, you can hop pretty high. And I was like, yeah, you know, like I think I could do X amount of people or whatnot. So they were like, all right, when you get here, we'll try it out. So I got to the actual audition and they laid out, I want to say 10 or 11 people, like full grown adults. And at the time I had never really hopped that many people, But I looked at the distance and I was like, well, I've bunny hopped over road gaps before that were pretty big. So I was like, you know what? I think I can handle this. So I didn't say anything, even though it was my first time. And I cleared it pretty easily. But the thing was that I initially cleared it just kind of like laying down on cement. I basically had to do it again for basically like a mock show. And when I was on the stage, it was really slippery and the angles were all kind of weird. And I was like, oh man, I really hope I can do this. It turns out that they didn't even let me really practice. They were like, hey, do you think you can make it? Is that enough speed? And I was like, yeah, I think so. They're like, all right, we don't need to practice. Like, you'll be good, right? And I was like, I mean, I guess, yeah. Basically, they were like, all right, show up tomorrow and you'll be good. I go home, I get a little nervous. I was like, hey, I should probably get a haircut. Like, you know, my hair used to be like kind of crazy and curly. So I hit up my barber and I was like, yo, I need to look like better than normal. You know, can you like fix me up? And he ended up like straightening my hair and cutting it kind of weird and then shaping it. It was a little different from what I was rocking those days, but you know, I went with it. When I actually got on set to do hair and makeup, they butchered even worse. So that's why I kind of looked like Ellen Degeneres herself. Like, no offense, but I looked a little lesbian-y. That night, I was like, man, this would be super sick. I'll hit up my sponsors, let them know that I'm doing this. So I called up Volume and Demolition. I was like, yo, I'm going to be doing this stuff on the show. It'd be awesome. And I'm going to have like huge stickers. And they were like, yeah, that's cool. And I was like, well, it's kind of important, no? And they were like, yeah, whatever. So then I was like, you know what? I know that the DC TM just got switched. So I'm going to email the new TM and just try it out. You know, the way I look at it, any shot you don't take, you miss. So instead of like missing the opportunity, I quickly got on an email, hit him up and was like, hey, listen, my name's Alfredo Mancuso. I just started writing for DC Shoes not that long ago. You guys are flowing me product. And I landed this part to be on the Ellen Degeneres show. If I wear a DC sweater and shoes and everything like that, that's going to be good, right? And he hit me back literally like 2 minutes later, like, wow, that's amazing. I would love to be able to go. I'm kind of busy and I'm the new TM. So at the time, there was one TM named Eric Deliri, and then they had just swapped team managers, so they had a new guy in place. We didn't know each other. His name was Mike Allen, which is funny because we ended up becoming really good friends after this. Anyhow, I hit up Mike, and I was like, you know, yada, 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 and he's like, yo, this is a huge opportunity. Please wear as much DC as they'll allow. It's a nationally televised show, so they actually might make you wear like a blank hoodie or something. So, you know, be smart, see what you can do, and we'll help you out. I was like, great, stoked. At least you guys care. The other brand, not so much, because I get it. Like, to them, television, maybe even YouTube, it's not important to them. They want the real BMX consumer. I've always had my mind on the bigger picture, and I think that every view, especially on that platform, is huge. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make BMX look good. I'm gonna wear DC because that's my biggest sponsor, and hopefully something good turns out of it. It's that day now. Let me see what day it actually is. They were like, Alfredo, rehearsals at 12 tomorrow, which this is April 21, 2010. I wanna say it was like a weekday, so like maybe Monday, Tuesday. They kind of basically didn't really give me much to work with. They were like, okay, here's your set. And I look and there's like this crazy mirror that has all these insane lights all around it. So it's for, you know, ladies that are gonna do makeup, and like you obviously need a lot of light for that to look beautiful or whatnot. And I was like, oh man, this is sweet. And then I saw a big bouquet of roses. I was like, oh man, these for me? So I look at the note and it's like, oh, thank you so much for coming on the show. This is amazing. We're so glad to have you. And I was like, oh, this for me? This is crazy. So then I read the note and it says like, thank you for coming. We hope you enjoy it. Much love to Jennifer. And I was like, Jennifer, I wonder who it could be. I was like, whatever. Security kind of like rushes me out when they see me in there. They're like, yo, you can't be in here. This is for J-Lo. I was like, J-Lo? I was like, holy crap. So apparently before I went on, they had J-Lo that day. So I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like J-Lo, you know? Anyways, they put me in my little tiny little office. They were like, are you ready? And I was like, yeah. Wearing a regular black shirt like they had instructed. And then I had my DC hoodie in my backpack. So they were like, all right, we're gonna do hair and makeup. So they fixed me up, which I ended up looking like, again, a little lesbian-y, but whatever. They're like, this shirt looks a little tight on you. And I was like, well, I have a hoodie. They're like, all right, just put it on. So I don't think they paid attention. So I slapped the hoodie on and they're like, all right, you're gonna be sitting in this seat next to these people, and underneath the seat, there'll be some presents for you or whatever. I was like, all right, cool. So I go over there, they have like little snacks and like, it's pretty awesome. Also, everything's fully catered. So they had like literally like a 5-star restaurant in front of you basically, and you can get whatever. So, you know, being at the time, a young kid in college, I was like, I'm gonna pig out. So I had my backpack and I shoved a bunch of like M&Ms and stuff. I was like, hey, thanks. Like, if I don't get anything else, at least I'll get some M&Ms and stuff. I was a young, naive kid. So they sit me in the audience and I'm next to, I'm gonna say about 99% females. Like it was like all ladies. Like there was another guy, maybe 2 other guys I saw in the crowd, but the majority were like ladies. They were in their, you know, mid to late 30s or 40s. Couple young girls that were like sitting closer to the front. I guess they strategically placed people there. TV magic, right? Then they have the signs that say like, clap now, this and that. Before I went into the audience, they were like, listen, if you ever want to come back to this show, the most important thing you want to do is be very energetic, be very happy, like clap, like pretend you won the Super Bowl when they call your name. And I was like, all right, I'll do that. So I'm watching all these different performers that they had, and they had an amazing dancer, which is the guy to the left. And then the girl was doing this crazy pole stuff, basically high-end pole dancing, not like a stripper, but like crazy acrobatics. And it was amazing. The whole time I was so mesmerized by them that I even forgot what I was going to do. And I was just like, wow, this is awesome. And then they called my name, and I was like, the hell? Like, I heard my name in front of a million people. I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I was like, oh, this is where I need to clap and go. So you can see there's a delay. I get up, I start clapping, and I come on down, and I'm like, whew, what's up, Ellen? And this is the first time I ever got to meet Ellen. And one thing that she likes to do is that she wants to meet her guests the first time in front of like the live audience. Like, she doesn't want to like meet them prior. She wants to just meet them there, and whatever is organic and it comes out, it comes out. And she's pretty darn funny, and like obviously it wasn't too awkward, but if you can tell, I'm chewing gum. I was pretty nervous. Not because of the bike riding stuff, but because like I wasn't as comfortable in front of a camera then as I am now. And especially like crazy cameras with makeup and crazy lights, and it makes you blind and it makes you super hot. And I was wearing a sweater. I was trying to get my paper up, right? So I'm talking to Ellen. You can tell I'm nervous. I don't know what to do. Another important thing is I had just come off a Demolition road trip. We were filming for the Demolition DVD Last Chance, which your boy has a full part in, so go check that. Oh wait, Demolition never put it up online. Maybe I'll put it up on my own YouTube, right? So I have my wrist guard on. I actually fractured my wrist on that trip, but I made a cast out of stickers. I literally put so many stickers that it stiffened up my wrist, enough for me to be able to get clips and ride on the majority of that trip. Even though I was in pain, and if you ever watch the video part, you'll see there's a lot of clips where I had like basically a little guard, and I was jumping over fences and doing all this stuff, but I really wanted to have an amazing part for that video, which I ended up falling short because I got hurt on my banger, which is the wall ride flare that you guys have all been asking for. More on that a little later. I hurt my wrist. I had a wrist guard on. At that point, I hadn't ridden my bike in like 3 or 4 days before I did the bunny hop, and I didn't even really warm up. I kind of like trotted around in the backstage area before the show, but then you have to watch like other people perform and stuff, so like I started cooling off. Talking to Ellen, and they're like, and she asked me like, oh, so what are you gonna do? And they, really emphasize that I don't tell her that I do this all the time. So I'm just like, well, I guess I'm gonna jump over your audience, And she's like, how? And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, on a bike. So I'm like, on a bike. And then she's like, is it provided for you? And I was like, I mean, I think. And I look around, and then those big curtains open, and like my bike gets presented to me, and I have all the stickers, and like I basically got a whole new bike, a whole new outfit. I actually still have it, and I'll show you. So I love to keep stuff, especially like nostalgic stuff like this. So this DC shoes box has some dust on it because it's that old. I wear 9.5. As you can see, Ellen. So these are the shoes that I actually wore on the Ellen Degeneres show. I only worn them once, just for that show. So if there's any collectors out there, you want to buy these and put them on eBay, who knows, maybe one day they'll be worth something. But these were really awesome shoes. These are actually the Rob Wise signature Demolition/DC collab shoe. Probably one of the best riding shoes I've ever had. Actually, I have one more pair, and I saved it in case I'm ever gonna do something that's pretty crazy and I want like performance, impact, and like, they're basically little moon boots. But as you can see, like, there's the Demolition logo right there, and Rob Wise's signature on the inside. If you look at the sole, this is actually the cover art for the Demolition DVD. Nobody will ever really know this, but me and Mike Allen, which was the then DCT manager, we kind of helped like make this happen. I was really good friends with him after the show, and I was on Demolition, so I was like, yo, we need to have a shoe, this and that, and like we talked about it. And then Rob, obviously a badass bike rider and had a pretty good idea with design, and the shoe turned out awesome. It's a little big for like today's standards, but at the time, it protects your feet really good. It has like impact padding, and it has like a bunch of cool stuff. Anyhow, I had a lot of input when it came to this, so I feel pretty privileged. So yeah, I wanted to rep it. I wanted to rep the BMX shoe on national television, and I did. Now to the important part, the jump. They gave me my bike, everything's looking good. She's like, don't hurt any of these people. They work for me. And she's, she made a joke about moving. And again, she's really funny. In my head, I was like, this is a breeze. What I didn't realize that when they actually do the show, there's a lot more camera equipment and all these other things on there. So there's these cables and stuff, and I was like, uh-oh, this wasn't rehearsed. But I was like, you know what? Send it. You really can't see unless you like slow it down. But when I come around the corner, I actually peel out a little bit. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. So I just torque it down. And the cool thing is that in practice, I did like 11 people. For the show, I think they did 7 or 8. I forgot the exact number. But again, if you look at the replay and the super slow-mo, I jump it with a lot of room to spare.
Let's take a look.
Which is super ironic because everyone to this day always says like, man, you should have messed up on purpose. That would have gone viral even then. And you would have been more famous for that than for actually clearing it. Which, they have a point. Anyhow, as you can see, I jump over them real clearly. Obviously, if you guys watch any of my videos, you know that I like going fast and doing pretty big bunny hops, stuff like that. So, you know, jumping over people was not really an issue. I didn't really think I was gonna hurt them or anything, but that was real. Like, if something would have happened, those people would have probably got hurt. So, thankfully it didn't happen. I land, I do a little peel out, everything's gravy. She gives me a hug. She's like super stoked. She was like, actually, she looks kind of flabbergasted. It's pretty cool. Anyhow, like, to my surprise, all of us got a big $500 Amex card, so I'm holding it, and I was like, man, where can I swipe this thing? And behind it actually has a smaller version that you get to keep, and they give you other perks. Like, I think we actually missed it, but the show prior got iPads and stuff. Like, they're pretty cool people. They hook up everybody in the audience, so big shout out to Ellen Degeneres. How did that all change my life? Well, that night when I got home, I had a long email from Mike Allen saying how stoked he was and he can't wait to see the footage. Anyhow, the important part of all of this was that after the TM saw the video and he was stoked on like me actually getting on Ellen and repping DC with that huge billboard, I got a pretty fat check from them for representing that. Even if it was like 30 seconds on national television, they saw value in that. The really important thing was that they invited me on my very first DC road trip. By the end of the year, they were like planning on having a road trip. And because my name was the talk of the company, since I got on Ellen, everybody's like, yo, why don't you guys invite that Alfredo guy? You know, like maybe he'll be good on the road. So very first road trip, I get to go on, and I was riding really well at the time, and I was super cool with everybody. The TM really liked me. We ended up becoming really awesome friends. And basically from there, I started doing more and more and more for DC, going on more road trips, getting a ton of pictures in magazines. I got a cover. I did a bunch of stuff. So they rewarded me by turning me pro. And that story I'll do on another episode. And I still have that magazine, and it shows all 9 of the new DC pros, which is like a really big deal at the time. Because of that, I started doing more and more BMX stuff, getting more sponsors, getting my name out there, higher profile. And then unfortunately, at the end of 2012, going into 2013, they disbanded the program. And that's basically where Adam and I were like, hey, we're already working together. Let's develop on some shit. Let's do more stuff. And someday let's replace DC Shoes in Action Sports by having our own clothing company. Maybe someday we'll have a shoe company or something, but let's do more for BMX than this company that eventually like abandoned us. So here we are today, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that little story. You know what to do. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And for more stories, more vlogs, and more how-tos, tune in every single day. And you can do that very easily by subscribing and then making sure you hit the little notification bell. That way you know when I upload, because I'm all over the place. I have a ton of stuff to do, and while I would love to be on a very regular schedule, it's all over the place, but I try to do it every single day. So today, again, there's going to be a double upload, so make sure to click after this video and wait for the next video that's going to drop in, I would say, 6.5, 7 hours. So again, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Peace.
It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it.